recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise tonight in support of this joint resolution. Earlier today, our colleagues in the United States Senate overwhelmingly passed this bill. I believe it was 83 to 16. But at this point in time, I'd like to begin by thanking my colleagues in the House. Ms. Lowy, the chairman of the committee, Ms. Roybal Allard, the distinguished subcommittee chairman, Ms. Granger, the ranking member, and I have been privileged to serve, Mr. Speaker, as the ranking member, the highest Republican on the House Appropriations Homeland Security Subcommittee. Where were we? From time to time in our great republic, we hit a blip. We have a problem. We run into a difficulty. And we did that in this shutdown. This was a very odd situation. We had actually passed 5 appropriations bills and 7 were left remaining. Mr. Speaker, that put us in a very awkward situation where there was a partial government shutdown. And I heard the rhetoric on both sides of the aisle, and I know it was sincere, but it hurt. It hurt our country, it hurt workers. But we reopened the government, and then in a room, members of the House from both parties, members of the Senate from both parties came together and we convened. There was a wide difference of opinion on that first day. I heard it, I was in that room. Everyone was acting in good faith, strong-held convictions. A lot of naysayers and skeptics and cynics said we weren't going to get there, but we owed it to the American people to get there. And Mr. Speaker, we got there. We didn't get there with a bill that I would have drawn. My bill, candidly, would look more like the bill that President Trump would have wanted. More money for the border security, more money for ICE. But we came up with an agreement that the vast majority of Americans could support, and the vast majority of members in both houses can support. And that's what I think the American people need to look to. Where did we agree? We agreed in this great bill for increased funding for our beloved ally in the Middle East, Israel. Just in this chamber the other day, members of both parties condemned anti-Semitism as we must. We backed that commitment up with our full support and unprecedented funding for our ally, Israel. We can all be proud of that. We, Mr. Speaker, came together with a compromise bill that will have some new border wall, not as much as I would have wanted. We'll have more ICE beds, not as many as I would have wanted. But, Mr. Speaker, I've been in this chamber for 8 years. I saw us come together and work together. My colleagues on both sides of the aisle, sometimes our differences are bipartisan, sometimes our differences are bicameral. Today we are going to come together as Americans and pass this bill. It is not a great bill, but it is a good bill. It represents compromise, and it will, I believe, restore the faith of the American people, not only in our institutions, but in our great republic. We can be proud that we came together when they said can't and we said can. So I will vow to continue as we work forward to work with Ms. Roybal Allard, a very fine lady. We view the world sometimes differently, sometimes we view it in a very similar light. But as we go into 2020, we fall under the draconian Budget Control Act, the dreaded sequester. We will have to address that. We will have a debt ceiling vote. The American people need to know our work will not be easier, it will be harder. But let our resolve be to do the work of the American people as we have done today and we will do in the future. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
The gentleman reserved.